Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is your favorite cousin, CUZ Morale, aka Brother Patah, Big B Kale, and a whole host of various names and other handles. The name of today's vlog is Why the Black Conscious Community Better Get Serious in a Hurry. Now, first things first, if I step on any toes today, you need to get over it, because there are much more harmful things and very evil, sinister people who are seriously trying to hurt you. Now, one of the things that irks the hell out of me is the fact that us so-called conscious folks love to use all these damn titles. Okay, we are quick to say, I'm Cushite, I'm Nubian, I'm Kemetic, I'm Moorish, I'm Hebrew Israelite, I'm Washita, I'm Seminole, I'm Garveyite. And the fact of the matter is, no, we're not. No, it is true that those were many of the legacies left behind by our ancestors. But what type of legacy are we leaving behind? What will we tell our children and grandchildren once they realize that we were faking the funk and we never did any worthy things to make sure that we could forge a meaningful existence besides run around being a bunch of damn professional title holders? And hey, it's okay to stand behind those names with pride, but we disgrace our ancestors, ourselves, and our children when we use our heritage to intellectually masturbate and bash one another. Speaking of bash, sorry, I gotta do it, but let's recap and go through the Black Indigo situation. And hell, I might as well toss a couple of pennies into the kettle since everyone else already has. Now, back on January 1st, I attended a Kwanzaa celebration hosted by an organization called PKV. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and give a shout out to my main man Jaja, also known as Jabril 30 on here, Mama Naila, Kush the Black Unifier, Big Brother Deruba, Coley, D'Amico, Lola, and many other brothers and sisters who either attended or participated. And before I go any further, let me also do some quick advertisement. Hey, any of you brothers and sisters who are either in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, also known as the infamous DMV, or traveling along that way during a PKV gathering will not be disappointed, because the sisters who make the food that we eat afterwards can throw down in the kitchen. Had to get that off my chest. Now, alright, I got beside myself, and this here is supposed to be serious, but I had to tell y'all that. Now, at this event, I actually met Black Indigo and introduced myself to her once it was over and everyone was busy mingling and sipping refreshments. Now, when I told her I knew her from her work on YouTube, her eyes dropped and saddened like a puppy right before me. I never mentioned or said anything about her being an extra in a porno flick down in Florida, but I didn't have to, because when I mentioned YouTube, she immediately gave me a look of shame, which meant that it was weighing on her heart. And I guess that is the point that I'm getting to, because it really makes no difference. It means nothing if we clown someone by making a whole bunch of videos and practice a lynch mob mentality by jumping on the bandwagon in an attempt to crush their spirits. The person who has committed the sinful or treasonous acts must face their own demons and deal with the fact that they have lost the trust of the countless people who were once in their corner 100%. Now, I'm not telling you all this to stick my chest out and say that I'm different, because I'm not. Hell, some of you all probably remember me getting into it last year with Wise Nubian, when he and I were busy making silly videos and going back and forth with one another, when we could and should have been doing a whole bunch of other things that were much more productive. In fact, I want to commend the brothers and sisters who PM'd and made comments to the both of us, letting us know that we both needed to stop the foolishness, as well as make a public apology to Wise and his wife, Nubian Kianis. And that's on the real. And congratulations to the both of y'all for bringing another beautiful baby into this world. And speaking of that, it just dawned on me that we of this so-called informed, black conscious YouTube community devoted all the time in the world on the plight of Black Indigo. But what did we do for little 7-year-old Ayanna Jones when she was murdered at point blank range in Detroit? What did we do for the youngster in Chicago who was viciously hit in the back of the head with a 2x4 and stomped to death by fellow classmates on his way home from school? What was done when Oscar Grant's killer received less than 4 years in prison? Or Sean Bell's murderers got no time at all? Did we do anything to R. Kelly after he molested and peed all over a 13-year-old girl and got off down in Florida? Or did we just keep letting them taunt us by supporting his pedophile-laced music and allowing him to get all over the radio stations bragging about being the self-proclaimed Pied Piper of R&B? Does anyone even remember the last brother that was dragged by a pickup truck down in Texas? The most recent lynching that took place in Mississippi? Or the drastic school tuition hike out in California, along with the hundreds of layoffs that took place in Newark and Camden, New Jersey? How about these crazy weather changes in which we are seeing snowstorms that are developing from the deep south and traveling to the north? Or the massive amounts of birds and fish just showing up dead all over the place? Are we aware that over 32 states are completely insolvent and bankrupt, and the only alternative that they have reached is to drive taxes through the roof, like Illinois just did with a 66% tax increase? How much time are we spending warning people of the upcoming economic collapse that we are about to face? And since I touched up on that, as fellow YouTuber Fearless 2005 just said, people, get ready for the ride of your lives. This is a cataclysmic roller coaster that has just started, and there is no way off of it, folks. You have been locked into your seats, and we are slowly going up because prices raised 1.1 to 3% in December, and they are expected to raise almost 13% by next August in many places, which basically means that we have no more time to waste because we are on the precipice of a global economic collapse that is going to change the way we literally live our lives. Now, I hear some of you folks argue that it's going to be all good and things will just work themselves out, while others say that they're going to simply go to other nations like Ghana, Senegal, Uganda, and other countries in Africa, or Guyana, Brazil, or the Philippines, and leave America behind. But you do not understand the situation fully. Now, I do agree that those nations that I mentioned are excellent relocation markers for brothers and sisters looking for a place where their families can have a better life. But if you do not have an economic plan, a protection plan, and an agricultural setup right away, it will be all for nothing. Now, right now, as I speak, the petrodollar is the world's reserve currency. And there are only 3 nations at best that do not have international bankers controlling their currency. A global collapse not only affects America, it affects everyone. But sadly, many Americans do not realize this at all, while many foreigners do. China and Russia have already bailed on the US dollar and are using gold. India has just purchased 400 metric tons of gold, while China, who I mentioned earlier, again, is not only encouraging their citizens to invest in silver, they are also picking up copper and just about any piece of scrap metal that they could get their hands on, because they need the energy resource with some billion-plus people. Right now, many Chinese are showing up all over Africa, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke warned us about several years ago before his passing in 1998. They're also eyeing the U.S. heavily, and with the amount of foreclosures and housing problems that we have here in the States, they will not need guns to take real estate. They will simply outprice Americans by showing up with chunks of commodities. And this, my friends, is when the war may really begin and get ugly, because hardcore patriotic Americans who are sticking to these Western world values will not take lightly to foreign occupation on any level, if it is by financial decree or not. History should tell you this. Now, back in the 90s, Ross Perot took his many millions of dollars and purchased network time so he could not only warn Americans of the NAFTA agreement, but the commodity exchange game as well. But everyone was just about laughing at his big old ears. Now, for those who are not preparing by collecting precious metals, keeping a large inventory of food and water storage, making sure that their homes have protection, and stocking up on heirloom seeds that can be planted and resown for generational harvest, you will be no different than one of those senseless zombies walking around in the dawn of the dead. Peace, everybody.